All right, let's just jump right into this explainer. Today, we're taking a close look at the context of U.S. presidents and vice presidents' visits to Pakistan, specifically because a single city is about to host a meeting that could literally determine the fate of the Middle East.
It's a pretty fascinating question, right? I mean, how exactly did Pakistan find itself squarely in the middle of brokering a critical ceasefire, playing host to these imminent, incredibly high-stakes talks between the United States and Iran? Well, to really grasp what's unfolding right now, we absolutely have to understand the historical framework that brought us to this exact moment. Because the geopolitical weight of the teams arriving by April 11 is just staggering. We're talking about major political heavyweights descending on Islamabad, specifically U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance and Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi. Make no mistake, the entire world is going to be watching this weekend.
And to put the sheer magnitude of this event into perspective, just think about this number, 10,000. That is the massive deployment of security personnel for this summit alone. The capital is completely closed off, operating under a strict red alert lockdown. And why the extreme measures? Because this isn't just your run-of-the-mill diplomatic meeting. It's the very first high-level American delegation, including a sitting vice president, to visit Pakistan in an entire decade. So, to understand why Pakistan is hosting this crucial 2026 summit, we kind of need to rewind. We need to look back at the fascinating and honestly sometimes totally bizarre early decades of U.S.-Pakistan diplomacy.
Let's start with perfume, camels, and alliances.
Okay, let me set the scene for you. It's December 1959. President Dwight D. Eisenhower is visiting Karachi. The city was completely spruced up for him, but there was a catch. The road from the air base passed right by some severely poverty-stricken areas. To mask the smell, things got, well, quite literal. As academic Pervez Hoodboy recalled, and I quote, "Lest the American president's olfactory sensibilities be offended, drums of perfume were flown in from Paris and sprayed along the roadsides." I mean, can you imagine? That is the incredible length they went to for this alliance.
And this whole era was just defined by these startling contrasts. On one hand, you have Eisenhower securing massive strategic military wins. We're talking doubled aid and literally an entire gifted air force from the U.S. But then, fast forward to 1961, Vice President Lyndon B. Johnson gets stuck in Karachi traffic and just strikes up an incredibly localized, lifelong friendship with a camel cart driver named Bashir Ahmed Sarbin. He even invited the guy to visit America. It's two totally different approaches to diplomacy, but both set the stage for Pakistan becoming the ultimate geopolitical go-between.
Which brings us to covert deliveries and secret messages.
You see, playing a global diplomatic role is absolutely not a new thing for Pakistan. Back in 1969, President Richard Nixon visited Lahore to specifically task General Yahya Khan with a mission. Why? Because Pakistan maintained very strong working ties with both Washington and Beijing. They were essentially the perfect bridge. And this culminated in 1971 when Henry Kissinger secretly flew to Beijing on a Pakistani government plane. That covert flight successfully opened up historic back-channel communications with China, a real game-changer.
And this covert intermediary role continued right into the 1980s. Picture this, May 1984. Vice President George H.W. Bush meets with military ruler General Zia-ul-Haq in the dense, remote pine forests of Murray. His mission? Delivering a secret, completely undisclosed letter from President Ronald Reagan. While the talks were officially described to the public as frank and warm, they secretly covered massive, high-stakes regional issues like the ongoing Soviet-Afghan war and the Iran-Iraq conflict. But as we know, geopolitics never stays still for long. The diplomatic pleasantries and the literal perfume of those early decades abruptly shifted to a much tenser, faster-paced reality by the turn of the millennium.
Entering the era of cold shoulders and tough warnings.
In the year 2000, Bill Clinton arrived. Now, he was the first U.S. president to visit in 30 years, but it was far from a warm reunion. It was a blink-and-you-miss-it 5-hour trip. Clinton delivered a literal cold shoulder, flatly refusing to be photographed, shaking hands in public with military ruler General Pervez Musharraf, purposefully avoiding any endorsement of his recent coup. He even totally bypassed standard diplomatic norms to give a direct, televised address to the Pakistani nation.
And the tension only escalated from there. Just look at the ominous timing of Vice President Dick Cheney's unannounced arrival in 2007. The second he landed, a New York Times report broke, revealing he was actually there to deliver an unusually tough warning. The message was crystal clear. The newly democratic U.S. Congress could cut aid to Pakistan unless forces became far more aggressive in hunting down al-Qaeda operatives. This really tense atmosphere carried right into the complex War on Terror era, which was characterized by extreme security measures, secret flights, and rapidly shifting alliances.
Next up, cricket nets and brandished sticks.
Over just a few short years, the U.S. employed a complete whiplash of diplomatic strategies. In 2006, President George W. Bush makes a highly secretive night landing. By 2009, Vice President Joe Biden is in the country receiving a prestigious national medal. But fast forward just 2 years to 2011, and Biden returns, this time reportedly holding carrots and brandishing sticks. The diplomatic landscape was just constantly shifting beneath their feet.
But Bush's visit in 2006, that one is particularly fascinating because of the sheer contrast of events. It's almost bizarrely ironic. Bush landed at a military base in the dead of night, lights dimmed, window shades totally drawn, with a slew of decoy helicopters buzzing around just to throw off potential terrorists. The Capitol was locked down tight. Yet the very next day, this avid baseball fan is casually taking part in a cricket workshop. He's taken to the U.S. Embassy nets and posing for photos with cricket legend Inzamam Haq. You can't make this stuff up.
And Joe Biden's 2 visits as vice president really hammer this rapid shifting reality home. In 2009, he is openly praising Pakistan as an incredibly valued ally and is literally awarded the Hilali Pakistan Medal by President Zardari. But within just 2 short years, that diplomatic posture swings completely back to a tense, 6-hour visit purely focused on tough talks regarding the existence of militant sanctuaries. It's like night and day.
So, let's look at this history of high stakes. Now that we've traced this dramatic historical arc, let's bring it all back to today. There is a clear, undeniable historical parallel at play here. In 1969, Pakistan acted as the vital, trusted bridge connecting the U.S. and China. Now jump to 2026, and they are sitting in that exact same seat, hosting the critical ceasefire talks between the U.S. and Iran. We are watching Pakistan's recurring, cyclical role as the chosen intermediary for global superpowers during times of extreme crisis play out in real time.
Which leaves us with the ultimate question, doesn't it? How will this deep, cyclical history of complex diplomacy, secret back channels, and extreme security shape the outcome of the 2026 U.S.-Iran talks in Islamabad? As we all watch the news this weekend to see exactly what Vice President Vance and Foreign Minister Arachi decide, keep this rich historical context in mind. It might just be the key to understanding the future of the Middle East. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and keep asking those big questions.